My life is brilliant. My love is pure. I saw an angel. Of that I'm sure. She smiled at me on a subway. She was with another man. But I want something. I've got a plan. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true.
It's true.
I walked on by. Yo,
Bro, those octaves go crazy.
he released an Instagram video and he said something along the lines of like celebrating the anniversary of this song. I was doing so much drugs and writing a song, and now that song bought me this beautiful.
You
It's
did.
just
Damn. I feel like sometimes you got to be in a certain state in order to really, like get into a certain zone state to really produce really top quality work, but good for him.
dude. That song's killer. There's also a really another good song by him called. Have you ever heard of Monsters?
Mm,
I think it talks. I believe it talks about him saying goodbye to his dad.
damn.
Yeah,
Some
it's a
deep shit.
it's some deep shit. That song will make me tear up all the time. But what's up with you? How is life?
Life is good, man. We got the sauna all set up. You got to come through sometime.
The sauna.
The
Oh,
sauna is all set up, man. Yeah, you got to come through sometime, man. Dude, do you like Lonnie?
Lonnie. I think so. Yeah, I know the
He's kind of
name.
like he's got like synth poppy
Yeah,
music and stuff, but he's like probably one of my more common artists that I've been listening to. But he just came out with the album on Friday, so been jamming out to some of that.
is it like mellowy pop kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
mellowy synthy pop vibe. Yeah,
Yeah, it was funny because the PTs on our team, they were like, "Yo, this shit is too fucking sad," and I was playing my music on the Sonos.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Well, sometimes sometimes you just gotta have a sad day.
yeah, I like this little. What's this hoodie situation you got? It's like a faint fuchsia.
Yeah, light pink. I think I have like two of these honestly, but yeah, man, down here in Florida, it's actually dropped down into the 60s now. So yeah, I'm pumped for it. One of my runs this week, dude, it's just like everything feels so smooth, so crisp. Whereas trying to run and train in the summer down here, just feels like, dude, my fitness is absolute trash. But yeah, the moment the weather drops below 70 degrees, it's crisp and you feel like you can go forever, man.
Yeah, I've been hitting like 15 to 20 miles per week again, and it's so much easier to run in this weather. But man, just too many social things, like too many fucking social events, and trying to balance that is crazy. Because when
Yeah.
homies are pulling up again in New York, I'm like, all right,
Uh-huh.
let's chill. But I'm also like, damn.
Is everyone in your friend group like all married now? Was that kind of like the last bit of the weddings that you had?
We probably have two more weddings next year, but like this past one, it was like we had a bachelor party, a wedding, another wedding. It's gonna be another bachelor party coming up, and it'll be a wedding in the start of next year. I'm just like, damn,
Yeah.
we got a couple of homies still getting married, but it's good times.
Dude, it's so funny the differences between how like the times that people up north typically get married versus the times that people typically get married down here. Like all my friends I went to PT school down here with, they're all married, they're all having kids and stuff. And then all my friends like up north that I grew up with, in Jersey and everything, like same thing. I think I was the first one in our friend group up there to get married. And same, they're all just either single and or like just in relationships but not married yet.
Yeah, no, we're Christy and I were the first ones to get married in our friend group, and like everyone's now talking at the wedding we just had. It's like, yo, who's gonna be the first one to have a kid? And I'm like, yo, that's different territory. Yeah. You guys thinking about that already, or
Yeah, we probably another like 4 years or so.
yeah,
Yeah, I definitely want to, have time to train for races, be able to do travel and all that before we, pop one out. But yeah, definitely in the next couple of years for sure.
yeah, Piff
Nothing,
Junior.
nothing, nothing immediate. What's that?
I said name your kid Piff.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, so talking about kids getting married and these kind of conversations that be slightly uncomfortable for people that aren't ready for it. I think one of the things that we're never really ready for is entrepreneurship. And Peter and I have known each other for, man, if we've been internet friends first, but we've been
Probably
internet friends probably since
6, 7 years.
2017.
Yeah.
So throughout the whole journey, we're always calling, checking in, and then nowadays, obviously, we talk every week. But there is definitely a lot of things that you have to let go of in order to be a successful entrepreneur. And we wanted to kind of break it down because truly, I don't think you can it's constantly a mindset level up and everything else levels up. And if you're not actively getting coached on those mindset things, I think you slowly keep trying to add new things into the toolbox and none of them work that well because your mindset's just not there.
Mm.
So what's the first, let's drop it. Like, entrepreneur fucking sucks. And it sucks even more when you don't have these kind of mindset updates. What are you thinking, Peter?
Yeah. Before I get into my first thought, I just gotta say, dude, that was actually a pretty decently smooth transition, man. I was like, man, we're talking about weddings, we're talking about kids. I'm like, how the hell is Andy gonna pull this off? Transitioning into talking about mindset level ups as we continue to develop and grow in business, man. But hats off to you. The man has done it again. But to loop back to the original question in terms of improving overall mindset as we're getting a little bit more into business. I think one of the things you just have to understand is that like you're gonna have bad days, and it's just a normal part of the game. I think a lot of times, when people are getting into it, we're all thinking, oh, everything's all like roses and butterflies. Everyone's always, highlighting the wins, right, on social media. So from the outside looking in, especially when you're comparing yourself to others, and I know that's something that I am constantly doing, is always just comparing to other people that have started out same place as me and or are ahead of me, and I don't know anything behind the scenes for them, but all I'm seeing is like highlights, highlights, highlights. And oftentimes you can kind of fall into this like mindset, like, holy shit, like what the hell am I not doing right? Like, why is everyone else getting it correct? But lo and behold, you chat with them and they are eating the same shit sandwiches we're fucking eating, dude. But it's just, again, they're not talking about it. And, but the thing is, like, no matter what business you're in, no matter what industry you're in, there's always like obstacles and hurdles that will occur. And it's just a normal part of it because you don't know what to expect. Right. But I think if I could rewind back, right, like 5, 6 years ago when I first started and just tell myself, like, hey, like, this is not going to be easy. This is going to be like pretty freaking hard. But it's a normal part of it, right? I think that will definitely kind of like help me approach different scenarios and just think about things from a little bit of a different perspective because I know that hey, it's normal. Right? I guess kind of similar to maybe like when you're like working out for the first time, and if you don't know, hey, like you're gonna be sore, you'd be like, holy shit, like what is this normal? Like what is this? But if you train with somebody who's been training for a very long time, they're like, dude, we hitting arms today. We're gonna be hitting like 10 sets of 20. Like you're gonna be sore the next day, my guy. And
Yeah.
they kind of set that expectation ahead for you. Then maybe you go into the next day just being like, yeah, it's a normal part of the journey. But I think being in it 5, 6 years down the line from now, I already know like, all right, cool. Like this year, already ate a bunch of shit sandwiches. It's normal. Next year, like we're gonna get even larger. So with getting even larger, guess what? The shit sandwiches are gonna be even larger as well too. But that's okay. All right. It's just a normal part of the process.
And again, the shit sandwiches get bigger, but you're sharing them with other people, right?
Yeah.
Like other people on our team will help you eat some of that shit sandwich. But yes, it's like you have to anticipate that things are going to suck, and this is why, like, whenever you hear people, it's like, oh yeah, these crazy ads is like we're gonna scale you to this and whatever. It's like totally get it. Those things can potentially happen, but that doesn't come without like eating some shit, boots to the ground, head down work for an extended period of time. Now, when you go into a workout and that's why people say like embrace the suck, right? Like get comfortable being in a dark place, get comfortable feeling like there's this like unknown that occurs. And most of the time since like you've been alive, you've probably known exactly what the next step is, right? You go to first grade, you go to second grade, third grade, you go to fourth grade. You go to work, it's like if I work here, I'll get a promotion. In entrepreneurship, it's like you really don't know what couple of steps are ahead of time. You maybe know like what the next three steps are, but for the most part, you just know what the next step is, right? Like then that's it. It's just putting one foot in front of the other and knowing that like you're gonna fail, shit's gonna suck, your ego is gonna get absolutely crushed, and knowing that when all these things happen, you're gonna learn from it and become stronger and more resilient. The people that actually embrace that mindset quickly can do so much better than other people that are like afraid, right? Because like in the initial stages, like you're literally putting yourself out there. We're taught all the time, don't ever talk to strangers. But the first thing you need to do when you're an entrepreneur is fucking talk to strangers. So it's like every single thing that you've learned about how to live life, it's almost completely wrong when you go into entrepreneurship, which is the toughest part.
Yeah. I'd say like one of the things that is very common in people who end up doing very well is the fact that they can just like tolerate a lot more than a lot of the other people. Right. So it's like, hey, to get to the point that we've gotten to, right, Andy, like we've both lost really good staff employees, right? We both had to go out there and go boots to the ground, ton of workshops. We both cranked out 60 to 80 hours work weeks. And a lot of times, especially when people are just kind of starting out, the moment they hit like some sort of like uncomfortable hardship or roadblock that they're not used to, they immediately will like freak out and retreat. Whereas, same thing when you get even larger and larger, you lost like what, like 15, 20K on ads at one time, right? Just like boom, money out the window. But again,
Dude.
you take that, what's that? Way more than that. Yeah. It's just like, it's just part of it. Whereas, maybe somebody else where maybe they lose, same thing, that 15, 20K, and then they take a different approach of like, holy shit, I don't know what to do. I'm going to shut down and only do word of mouth because that is a safe way to go about it. And so if you can just really build up like almost like a thick skin and just like take everything, as it comes and just roll with it, then ultimately at the end of the day, like whoever's going to stick around the longest is going to be, pretty much the last man standing in business. And I think that's really where, especially for cash pay physical therapy, I still feel like it's still a very new kind of business model, right? Where maybe people haven't really scaled to eight figure revenue yet, but in order to get there, like there's gonna be a lot of shit that you need to figure out, and in order to get there, but the only way you can do that is if you can take the punches and then get back up again. And so if there are like different reasons, or sorry, if there are different methods that maybe you can kind of think of, right, to really help you build up some of these like almost like mental toughness, then I think it'll go a very, very long way.
Yeah, and I think you have to have this like healthy relationship with like loss,
Mhm.
right? Like you're like Peter said, it's like we're getting burned right now with like one of the coaches that we've hired at Moment, and like it hasn't given us the biggest ROI that we wanted. Peter joined another group, right? It's like with ads, it was like what 30K for go getters. It's like we haven't seen the ROI that we wanted yet. But it's like one bad apple doesn't mean that you just stop eating apples, right? Like you just got to keep just absorb your losses, and like you can always learn from these things,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes it's like, okay, we've learned a bunch of ways that don't work. Sometimes it's like, okay, we know how to not run a group, right, of like people that we're coaching. Sometimes it's like, hey, I just needed to feel this loss enough so that I can start to take it control with my own hands, right, and like really take a deep dive into the topics that I need, whether that's lead generation, copywriting, email marketing, etc. So I think just knowing that like you're not always gonna have a positive ROI with everything that you invest in is a good mindset, because if you're thinking like, okay, every single time I drop 10, 20, 30K on like coaching, it needs to yield a positive ROI, you're gonna get disappointed sometimes, right? And like not everyone out there is going to give you like the outcome that you're looking for. Like we've
Yeah.
had so many people that enter the group that come from these bigger groups, and it's just like they've been burned. Like they've stayed in the same revenue for like, you know, a full year almost, right? Without anything changing. So I think just anticipating that you will lose money in some of the stages, but losing money is part of it to learn these lessons so that you can eventually develop a better skill set or a better framework or outlook on business.
Yeah. I think another thing too is really just the sheer number of volume of inputs that you need to do in order to be successful. So I think a lot of times when people are coming in, they just feel like, oh, cool, I need to maybe just send like 1 or 2 DMs or maybe create 1 or 2 posts and like my content will be really, really good and I'll be able to get a lot of leads that way. Or hey, maybe I'll put out my first 1 or 2 ads and like it's gonna crush. But what they don't realize is like the people who are out there that are doing this at a very, very high level, they've just done so many repetitions and volume of it to really get to where they currently are at, right? How many newsletters have you sent? How much times have you kind of studied copywriting? How many discovery calls have you actually done? How many times have you practiced like the spousal objection? Right? It's like you're not going to be good at it the first like 2 times you do it, and it's like it's to be expected, dude. Like you're not great because you've only done it twice, dude. And so if you want to be really good at something, and that one thing that you're currently not good at is like your main bottleneck, then you should probably do multiple repetitions of it in order to kind of get that like learning curve out the way. And so like for you, right, dude, I think you're a really good example of like content done at a very, very high level. But the thing is like, dude, you post every single day. And so by posting every single day, you're able to get like very quick feedback loops like, hey, like what's working, what's not working, etc. And so if people can kind of understand, hey, like if I need to, maybe put out, like 500, ad copies in order to find that one winning ad copy, then how fast would you get through these first 500 copies in order to get the winning one? Right. And so you just have to understand, hey, like it's going to be a lot of volume at just about anything you do, whether it's training somebody up for the first time, right? Your first hire, it's probably not going to go great because it's the first time that you've done it before. But if you can understand, hey, like what it does it take, whether it's through just getting multiple repetitions, and then by the time you get to your second or third or fourth hire, then it's going to be, you're basically going to be like pro at it, right? But again, there's it's just a lot of volume and repetitions that goes into it.
Yeah, and you've got to like just accept the fact that like it's on you, right? Like there's a lot of people that shy away. Like you can blame a lot of other things. You could blame the Instagram algorithm for not getting as much exposure as you want. But are other people able to get exposure as they are? Then like, well, you could do better, right? You
Mm.
can blame the economy. Like definitely you could blame the economy. But other businesses successful within while the economy is going kind of crazy, they are. It's like, well, then you can be successful, right? So it's like most things are a skill issue, right? And that's what you want it to be, not like a will issue, meaning you're not willing to try.
Mm.
If it's a will issue, it's like you're going to be unsuccessful wherever you go, right? You should always be willing to put in like I don't think it's ever been easier to win. And I hate to say this, but it's like distractions at an all-time high. It's
Mm.
very easy to get distracted and doom scroll for 3 to 4 hours and fucking completely lose your day. And we've done a bit of hiring. It's like so many people struggle just to work a 40-hour work week now. Like
Yeah.
kids are so entitled. It's like, hey, I want to get paid this in the top 1%, and I want to work 25 hours a week. And I'm like, yeah, gotcha. You're fucked. Like
Mhm.
you're literally screwed. And I think all of these things you're grinding and you're working your ass off. But again, the past few weeks, like I've been at weddings, reconnecting with old friends, and I just see like the differences in life, right? Like I'm super grateful for where I'm at because I get to control a lot of aspects of my life. Are there times where I lose control a little bit and have to work my ass off? Without a doubt. But for the most part, like I'm fairly happy
Mm.
that I get to create content, treat people, learn stuff, create things, and like essentially build stuff. I have more flexibility with where I'm at when I do things. Do I work a lot more? Sure, but I also take more time off than a regular person.
Mm.
So there's a lot of different trade-offs that are beneficial, but you have to fucking put in the work.
I think to roll off of that, one of the main reasons why you're able to work so much is because you actually genuinely enjoy it, right? Like you genuinely enjoy like building and creating something from the ground up. And I think if it's something that you can really enjoy, then putting in the total number of hours that you do put in, like it's not going to seem that bad. And so I don't think everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur, and that's totally okay. Right. But for the ones who actually do, end up doing really well, it's because they're working, 40, 50, 68 hours a week. But for them, the work doesn't feel like work. Right. It just
Yeah.
feels like, hey, it's something that they actually enjoy and they can, talk about it and do it all the time. Like that's what they want to do in their free time. And so if you're somebody who like, just like as you're getting more into the business stuff and you just like don't seem to enjoy and don't seem to, like it, then maybe it's a sign like, hey, it's totally okay. And maybe it's just not something that's meant for you. And that's totally fine. Like there are plenty of other people that provide like a wonderful work environment that, you can get the benefits out of from, treating and, still having, a balance between the things that you enjoy and work. But the people who I feel like succeed at a very high level, they just like, they're integrated so deeply into their work because it's something that they really, really enjoy.
Yeah, and I think if you go into entrepreneurship, you just have to realize the first 3 to 5 years is a grind,
Yeah.
right? And like it's going to be tough. You're essentially creating a startup. In the first year, you're probably wearing every single hat, and you start to offload certain hats. And one of the first ones you offload is the administrative stuff. Then you offload the clinical side of things, and then you offload some of the sales things. And like eventually, you get to the point where you've almost fired yourself from the business. But in order to get to that point, there are so many ego deaths that you need to have, right? Because in the first year, when you're doing all these things, you're seeing some success, you're scared. Like you're scared to let go of any of these things because you're like, well, I came from nothing to like making something that's recreating my salary or maybe even a bit more. You're so afraid to let those things go. And then you offload one thing, but you're still micromanaging. And like there's all these lessons that you have to learn in order to become a better entrepreneur. And the only ones that fail are the ones that refuse to keep learning these lessons, right? Every single time they make a new hire, they don't try to learn why that hire left. They don't try to make their hiring process better. So like your capacity, I would say in the first 3 to 5 years, you're leveraging your capacity, your ability to just fucking delay gratification for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
I think after the 3 to 5 year mark, it's no longer about your work ethic. It's about what the more valuable thing to do is to actually think about how to grow, right? Like the best CEOs aren't clocking in 60 to 80 hour weeks anymore. They're just thinking about what is the constraint and how do I put my time and get the right people to address this constraint, right? They don't have to do the nitty gritty stuff quite as much in the future. But in the first 3 to 5 years, I would say it's all grit. It's like you have to like eat shit. You're gonna miss some weddings. You're gonna miss some like family occasions and things like that. And I wish it wasn't like that. But again, if you anticipate that you're gonna miss some of these things and it's gonna suck, you won't be shocked, right? But if you're like, no, 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 I'm gonna be able to have great work-life balance, you're gonna be stressing out because the people that tell you like you're gonna have a beautiful work-life balance and you're gonna treat people while you're in a beach in Bali are just fucking full of shit.
Yeah.
If they were able to do it, you would see them on the beach and stuff like that, but they're not there, right?
Yeah, the whole like work-life balance thing just like doesn't really understand or it doesn't really resonate with me, especially with like, the whole time leverage stuff as well too. Because the only really true way to do it is if you go through the hard way of growing a business and, hiring other employees to help out with sales, fulfillment, marketing, etc. In order for you to really truly get like full-time freedom. But the only way to get there, right, is if you go through the hard way of going through all these things. I think like there, yeah, I mean, not to go off tangent a little bit here, but I just feel like there's so many people out there that are like, oh, like time leverage practice, like, go half online, half in person and stuff. And it's just, just work-life balance, solo provider, but it's like you're still the one doing freaking everything.
Yeah.
And if that works for you, like that's great. But for those who want to grow it beyond themselves, like you have to go through it the hard way. And it's hard for a reason because not everybody is willing to go through that in order to get to the end destination. With talking about like letting go of your identity, I think that was something that I struggle with a lot. It's because like, dude, we both went to school, so our identity for physical therapy, so our identities are lie within what we're really good at, which is treating people, being a physical therapist. But I guarantee you, all these top end CEOs, owners, operators of like multi-million, multi-billion dollar companies, they had to let go of their identity of whatever fulfillment role that they were in order to be able to continue going up and bring the company to the next level. I think a lot of times with people who own physical therapy practices, they all own it because they happen to be physical therapists themselves, and that's totally fine. But if your goal is to be able to grow this to the next level, then you have to let go of your identity as a physical therapist and turn it and shift it into, operator, CEO, etc. Right? Because if you're consistently fulfilling, just because you're good at it, right, doesn't mean you should be doing it. And I think that was something that I struggled with for a very, very long time. Is like, hey, my identity is tied to treating people, getting people better, and that is what I'm going to do. Versus letting go and trying to learn the hard shit of ads, hiring, sales, marketing at scale, right? All this shit that we didn't go to school for. And now you have to kind of just learn and figure out if you want to bring your business to the next level. And it's not easy, man, because dude, like, bro, we went to school for what, like fucking 7 years, 8 years, right? For this shit, to let go of something like that, to turn to, entrepreneur, business owner, it's hard.
What year are you in business currently?
5 point, about to finish out, about to finish out year 5, so we're about to enter year 6 at the beginning of 2026.
Yeah,
So
we just started year 4.
yeah.
And do you feel like that is pretty accurate around year 3 to 5? At some point you realize it's like your main strength isn't your ability to crank out that many hours, which I know we still love to fucking riff off these things, depending on what you consider work, right? Like if we're like watching stuff, learning business side of things, like we're not cranking out hours being in one physical location, like in the clinic all of the time. It's more so like our goal is to learn things, see things differently, and then start to figure out what the next implement is. And the quicker you can get there, I think the easier it is to start to build and scale, because it's all experimenting, right? And you're just trying to find the right experiment that starts to drive ROI. You're going to have, let's say you do 6 experiments, 5 of them might not do anything. And then that 6th one is the thing that really takes you to the next level. And then you're going to milk the shit out of that one until it doesn't do what it needs and you figure out what the next thing is.
Yeah. And I think like one of the problems, thinking back now, is because we start out as PTs, we almost hold our artwork or our expertise, our skill set to almost such a high level. And so when we do that, I was almost like terrified of like letting someone else treat, because I was like, man, I don't know if they can deliver the same outcome that I'm able to deliver. And that couldn't be like further from the truth. And that was probably one of the large things that held me back. But yeah, going back to your original thing, dude, I would say for me, yeah, probably around year 3 was like really when I started to kind of like let go of some clinical treatment hours and like really understand, all right, cool, like I need to bring somebody else on to help out with like, some of the fulfillment, some of the sales, some of the marketing, et cetera. I can't do everything myself, but sometimes like people just have to work so much in order to get to that point of realization. Because again, I had like people tell me, it's like, dude, you gotta hire, dude, you gotta hire, dude. I'm like, nah, man, I got this shit. Like I can do it all. But then you reach a certain breaking point where you're like, all right, like this is not sustainable. This is not aligned with where I'm trying to go. I need to pivot to a different direction. And what does that look like? And so I think people have different points of realization, and the sooner and earlier you can have that realization, then you won't maybe take as long as it took us.
Yeah, and that's a huge realization I'm having now, where it's like I'm trimming down my clinic time to 2 days. Very rarely will come in a third day, and if I do, it's only for like an appointment or 2 in the morning, and I'm gonna go straight to a cafe and just continue to crush work. And the goal is like I'm just trying to fire myself from out of every single role, right? Because I think like my biggest strength is learning stuff, creating things, and teaching stuff. So it's like those are like my biggest, like if all I did the whole week was just focus on creating dope content, teaching people through webinars and stuff like that, like we would absolutely crush it. So it's like the quicker I can get to that stuff, the quicker our business can continue to double and multiply. But like you got to figure out what your strengths are. What do you really like doing? What's delivering the best ROI? Like, I'm taking a huge dive into like ad stuff, but like I don't want to be the person that's like doing that forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to get really good at it and then have someone that manages it and have meetings with that one person. But even when you're offloading these things, you still have to learn it at a deep level so that you know what the hell is going on. So that's been like the biggest shift for me personally. It's just like chipping away at the next thing, emptying my schedule, and like being comfortable with like having a schedule that isn't jam-packed with sessions and meetings and things like that. Like my schedule right now on Monday, Thursday, and Friday is completely blank. And this is the first week that it's like completely blank. I'm like, no one's touching any of those things. Like it's for me to just fucking start jamming and riffing and like figuring stuff out, like whiteboard sessions, creating content, doing all that stuff.
Love it. And who knows, like probably next month or 2 months from now, all these ideas and from the things that you're be able to create in this free time is probably going to lead to like a PR month. And I think a lot of times like people just don't put the 2 and 2 together, but the more well rested you are, the more you can kind of put in from a creative input standpoint to be able to figure out what needs to move the business forward, the better the business will do. But you can't do that if you're still, working within the business, doing everything yourself.
Yeah, the first couple of years, it's all about focusing on building your capacity and testing your capacity constantly, because what's going to happen is you're going to face adversity, and in your back pocket you want to know that you're capable of handling some difficult shit, right? Like, and that's the kind of the goal with entrepreneurship. You develop confidence as an entrepreneur by going through some of these hardships, but it doesn't really internalize until you really reflect on the journey, right? If you're constantly thinking like, oh my gosh, what if, you just have to shift. Even if a meteor is going to hit the earth, I know that I'm capable of, generating leads, closing on some pips, etc. Like, no matter the external circumstances, like, you need to build a book of experiences that you can fall back on and just tell yourself, I'm someone that's capable of handling hardships. I'm someone that's capable of failing, experiencing change and coming out of the other side positively, right? Because until you actually think about it consistently, internalize that you're that type of person and change your identity, you're always going to be this burnt out entrepreneur. But like, it's not that our stressors have gone less. It's just our identity has changed, because we don't think of ourselves as just a physical therapist anymore. We're not just a regular entrepreneur. We're like an entrepreneur that's constantly pushing, learning, and growing. And that type of entrepreneur doesn't get stressed out by some of these little things. Or that type of entrepreneur maybe will feel a failure, but only feel it for like 5 to 10 minutes before they make a pivot.
I think by being able to overcome all these different obstacles and stuff, it's basically proof of concept for you that you can basically pretty much just about do anything. And with that, your confidence in yourself, in your business spikes like exponentially. I think like I had someone ask me the other day, I was like, dude, like, how do you like stay so, positive and confident in yourself? Like, do you ever feel like, hey, business is going to, just go away? And I like thought about it fairly hard. I was like, at this point, I think the reason why I am the way I am is because over the years, by being able to overcome and navigate these certain obstacles, whether it's lead gen, marketing, hiring, it's basically just like proving point to myself that like no matter what happens, you're able to overcome it. And by doing that, like you basically become unstoppable. And there isn't anything that I won't be able to overcome or figure out as long as I keep at it. And I think, the longer you can stay in business, the more you can kind of prove to yourself, like that's 100% the point. And no matter what, like you're going to be okay. And with that, that'll pretty much allow you to take like larger and larger risks. I think just looking at the last 2 years, like a lot of the larger business decisions that I've made, they have been a lot riskier compared to, very early on. But the only way like I'm able to kind of make those like riskier decisions is really the fact that, hey, I always look at it, what's the worst case scenario? And it's like not that bad compared to maybe like how I would have viewed it initially very, very early on.
Dude, the perspectives, the change, like, some people are like, oh man, like, oh, 10K, oh my gosh, like that's too much. You got to think about these things. Like, you just can't remember, like, your perspective on things is also going to shape your ability to sell and stuff as well. So like, for me, it's like, it used to be if it's under $1,000, I don't even bat an eye. Now it's like if it's under 10K, I don't even bat an eye. If you could tell me if it's under 20K, like, I'll do a little bit more research and kind of figure out, like, is this the step that I want to go? Do I want to commit to this? But if it's under 10K, I'm like, let's do it. Like, any page for $3,000, fuck it, sounds good. Let's try this out. But you have to be in this like experimenting mindset. You have to take risk. Like, if you're like scared of taking risk, again, that's just setting yourself up for failure. If you're not anticipating the worst, that's setting yourself up for failure. And all of these things sound really, really weird, but the more comfortable you get with it, the less emotional reactivity you have towards it.
I think one last point I'll add to it is people who are successful, they take ownership over everything. So every single thing that occurs within the business that isn't ideal and isn't the outcome that you're wanting, they're taking ownership over it and saying like, okay, cool, like this is 100% on me. Like, what can I do to address this to make it better? Whereas I think a lot of times, like very early on, and I was very 100% guilty of this. I was like, oh, dude, it's like everything is, everybody else's fault except for mine. It's the market's fault.
Yeah.
It's like the ad agency's fault. It's the coach's fault. It's everybody's fault except for me. But now, like especially, more recently over the last 2, 3 years, everything that doesn't go ideal, I'm like, dude, that 100% is on me. The SDR isn't performing well. Cool. Like, who's the person that decided to hire her and onboard her and train her up? Guess what? It's this guy, dude. So whose
Yeah.
fault is it really that they aren't performing up to KPI? And so I think the more you can kind of take ownership over it, then it just gives you a little bit more, like locus of control to be able to figure out, okay, like what can I do moving forward to get a different outcome that is more closely aligned to what I am looking for versus like blaming others, external circumstances that are outside of what you can control. And so, yeah, if you kind of approach it like that, then I think that it's game over.
Yeah, the biggest when I talk to like some of the people in our group, like one on one, they're like the biggest differentiator between you guys has been like the mindset, the emphasis on it. And I think none of that, you can learn all the random skills, but like if you don't actually update the way you see situations, especially in the beginning stages, right? Like you almost have a ton of growth when you're going from like 0 to 10K, and you understand the importance of like mindset shifts from 0 to 10K. But I meet so many people stuck in 20, 30, 40K, and they just don't have like, they don't continuously upgrade their mindset. They don't continuously, uh, if you can actively like think about or actively reflect on like the past year or two, do you actually feel like you've been a better entrepreneur? Do you feel like you've become a more resilient individual? If the answer is yes, awesome, keep doing what you're doing. If the answer is no, you should find a new coach. And that's what we're constantly doing. We're just trying to find people that will continue to push us. And it was a great quote for somebody. It's like, remember, the reason why you're a coach is that you're trying to push someone to do things that they've never done before, right? So like if you constantly keep repeating the same month, the same year, and you're not getting a good outcome, why do you stay in a group? Like I encourage people to leave if they're not growing because I don't think it's worthwhile, right? Like just like we always are seeking out new opportunities for coaching, we're always trying to grow. If you're not growing within a group, you shouldn't stay. But with that said, it's like the reason why I think people stay is because we're constantly growing and we're paying even higher tickets and constantly bringing it back into what makes GGC so great.
Bang, bang, dude.
Bang, bang. Squad, we've got a couple of things coming up soon. So I'm going to be throwing up a training on newsletter webinars. Peter's going to be dropping something on how to scale past yourself. So be on the lookout, subscribe to our newsletters, and just make sure that you're ready for those announcements because we'll probably have the official stuff coming in by the end of this week. And come on, we're at 41 5-star reviews. Can we get that to 45?
We
Can we
need
get
4 more. Let's go.
Let's get it, squad. And remember, it's a fucking journey. Don't be so harsh on yourself, but you got to be getting better every fucking year. Let's get it.
Peace.
Peace.